Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I have hundreds of episodes where I talk about prosperity and money, attracting money, abundance, and in every episode, I can literally feel an energy that comes from people that listen, from comments that I get, that it doesn't fit with my channel, that it's somehow sacrilegious for me to talk about money, that talking about the spirituality of money seems to be a contradiction in general, that all things taught about manifesting money is like praising Mammon. Understand this. Money will have a greater influence on your life than almost any other commodity you can think of. If I intend to serve you and be of service to you with the knowledge that I have, and I can help you make more money, to have more money in your life, to be happier, not worried about paying your bills or pay off the bills that you have, why wouldn't I do that? If I can reach into your subconscious and give you lessons that I have learned, that others have learned, that help you to become wealthy, why wouldn't I do that? You must agree that everyone should have a deep understanding of exactly what money is and of the laws governing its attraction. The sad fact is that not one person in 10 does. 95 people out of 100 settle for whatever they get, wishing they had more, all the way from the cradle to the casket, never understanding that they could actually have had all they wanted. Now, as I'm talking to you, you might let your mind wander off, either thinking about someone you know who has earned a great deal of money, or possibly about someone who has gone into bankruptcy. I want to suggest that you attempt to keep focusing only on yourself, because what someone else has or does not have is not going to affect you, and it is your financial situation that I want you to improve. One of the most prevalent misconceptions concerning money relates to its importance. For example, how many times have you heard people say in conversation, money isn't everything, or money isn't important, or I don't care about money? Well, the people who say these things might not care about money, but I'll bet their car dealer cares about it, their grocer does, and so does the person who holds their mortgage. In truth, there can be no denial of the fact that money is important to any person living in the world. Therefore, to argue that it is not as important as this or that is absurd, for nothing can take place of money in the arena in which it is used. Now that we've affirmed the importance of money, it's important for us to backtrack to add this one word of caution. Always remember that money is a servant and you are the master. Be very careful not to reverse that equation, because many people of high intelligence have already done so to their great detriment. Sadly, many of those poor souls loved money and used people, which violated one of the most basic laws of governing true financial success. You should always love people and use money rather than the reverse. Another myth many people like to accept about money is that it only comes as a result of luck or good fortune. For instance, when people gather to talk about someone they know who has been financially successful, there's always someone among them who will say, Harry was just lucky, or Harry was just in the right place at the right time. But I can assure you, in no uncertain terms, that although luck obviously plays some part in financial success, it is never sufficient in and of itself. Money is an effect, and it must always be earned. There are no free rides in this life, and the only people who are making money the easy way either work in the mint or are on their way to jail, if they have not already arrived there. Therefore, always bear in mind that while good fortune is a factor in financial success, it must always be coupled with effort and hard work. A third thing you should know about money is that it is valuable only as long as it is being used. Once it's been taken out of circulation, it becomes as worthless as the old newspapers or empty beer cans that have been stashed away in the attic. Let me turn to a simple technique, which you can begin using immediately to start attracting the amount of money you desire. I learned this from Bob Proctor. The first thing that you want to do is to picture yourself in your mind's eye sitting in a room with several of your friends. Then I want you to visualize yourself announcing to them your intention of becoming wealthy, at least wealthy enough to live the way you choose to live. Now imagine how that would make you feel. If you're like most people, you'd probably feel very uncomfortable. Perhaps you would feel so uncomfortable that you might even retract what you said by informing your friends you were only joking. You should understand, however, that people who are wealthy never feel uncomfortable when the subject of money is brought up. Why don't they, you ask? The most obvious answer would be because they already have lots of it. But that is not the correct answer. You should realize that people don't feel comfortable about money because they have it. They have it because they feel comfortable about it. In other words, one of the reasons that wealthy people have money is that they have developed the state of consciousness we will hereafter refer to as prosperity consciousness. Therefore, it follows if we wish to attract money to ourselves, we must begin to foster a prosperity consciousness. The question you should now be asking yourself is, how do I go about developing this prosperity consciousness for myself? The best way to develop a prosperity consciousness is to start seeing yourself in your mind's eye already in possession of the amount of money that you desire. The reason this is so is that since the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between the actual possession of money and mere visualization, you will soon become very comfortable with the idea of money. As a result, you'll start attracting it to yourself. I have said that maybe 1,000 times on my channel, and I'll say it 1,001 times because every time is important and it's easy to forget. This may sound like a game you're playing, but let me assure you, it is one of the wisest things you can possibly do. For when you succeed in convincing your subconscious mind that you are wealthy and that it feels good to be wealthy, your subconscious mind will automatically seek ways of making your imaginary feelings of wealth manifest themselves in material form. If this sounds like sheer fantasy to you, just ignore me for the time being and continue listening. Now, having touched upon a technique which will help you acquire greater wealth, let me offer this further word of warning. If you want to have money, one thing you should never do, is worry about whether or not you will get the money you desire or whether you will keep it. Let me elaborate. In the Bible, Job, the great sufferer of biblical times, makes the following remark: "Behold, the thing I fear has come to visit upon me." Now stop and ask yourself, if you will, what those biblical words mean to those of us concerned about money today. Well, one thing they certainly mean is that if we insist upon consistently worrying about not having enough money, or if we habitually worry about losing the money we do have, then we are absolutely guaranteed not to worry in vain. For just as surely as Job was afflicted by his many maladies, so too shall we be afflicted by the lack or the loss of money. I will forward one other caveat. If you really want to significantly increase the amount of money you are presently earning, the first thing you must do is learn to pay substantially less attention to what others around you are saying and substantially more attention to what the quiet voice within speaks within you is saying. Put more prosaically, you must strive to become much less susceptible to influences outside of yourself and much more inclined to trust the instincts and feelings that lie within you. Most people who fail to accumulate enough money to live in the style they choose are the same people who are most easily influenced by other people's opinions. For instance, they're often the people who let the writers of economic doom and gloom, whether in the newspapers or on news broadcasts, do their thinking for them. As Napoleon Hill pointed out in Think and Grow Rich, opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. In fact, almost everyone has a flock of them ready to be foisted upon anyone who is willing to accept them. Therefore, if you know you've been unduly influenced in the past by other people's opinions, make up your right mind now that from here on, you're going to heed your own counsel. Remember, if you do, there's absolutely no reason why you cannot become financially successful within a very reasonable period of time. As you listen to the words that I say in this episode, you should begin to develop an increasing awareness of the talents and abilities that lie deep within you. You should realize that with the proper instruction, you can begin using these undeveloped talents to attract the good that you desire. No amount of listening to YouTube episodes, reading, or memorizing will bring you the success you seek. It is only the understanding and the application of the ideas in this episode that will make differences for you. Therefore, don't be in any hurry to finish this episode, because a complete listening should not be your objective. Understanding and applying what you hear is the objective. So if you're able to properly digest only a few minutes a day, that might be all that is necessary for you to arrive at your goal. If you're wondering why this is meant to be sipped and tasted rather than devoured in one listening, bear in mind it is based upon many years of careful analysis of the methods of both the very successful and the very unsuccessful. One more word of advice, since very few, if any, people become great at anything by themselves, I suggest you attempt to find at least one other person with whom you can share and discuss the ideas presented in this episode. I believe you will agree it is an observable truth that human beings will never enjoy anything they are not yet consciously aware of. For example, we did not enjoy the luxury of traveling in airplanes at tremendous rates of speed until the Wright brothers became consciously aware of how to fly. Thomas Edison developed the conscious awareness of the moving pictures and introduced us to a brand new form of entertainment. Dr. Jonas Salk became consciously aware of how to develop a serum that would combat the dreadful disease of infantile paralysis, more commonly referred to as polio, and as a result of Salk's new awareness, you very rarely hear of anyone contracting the disease today. Alexander Graham Bell became consciously aware of how to transmit the human voice over metallic wires, and as a result, we all now enjoy the use of a telephone. I could go on and on citing examples. However, the point I want to bring to the forefront of your mind is that these inventions, or the knowledge bringing about these inventions, have always been here. In fact, all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is evenly present in all places at all times. But it took an individual to bring those thought patterns together and form ideas, which developed into what we call consciousness before we could begin to benefit from them. We are floating in an ocean of thought energy, where all the energy there ever was or ever will be is present. We're also surrounded by abundance. Indeed, everywhere we look in nature, our eyes come in contact with abundance. For nature knows no such thing as failure. Therefore, there never has been and there never will be a lack of anything except conscious awareness. But if you're going to begin to penetrate this world of wealth, it's absolutely essential that you begin to think. In other words, you must open your mind to the stream of thought energy, which will create an image or a consciousness of prosperity in your mind. You are well aware there are literally thousands upon thousands of honest, good, hard-working people who labor diligently for their entire stay on this planet, yet never become wealthy. For those individuals, life is a constant grind from sun up until sun down. But the ideas presented on these pages have been put here in the hope they will jar your mind and inspire you to open it up to this new type of thinking. Consciousness is and always has been developed through thinking, and regardless of what your present situation in life may be, if you ever hope to improve it and truly become wealthy, you must begin thinking of prosperity in your mind now. Not when you finish listening to this episode. It must be done now. Thinking is the highest function of which a human being is capable, yet unfortunately very few people think. They merely trick themselves into believing that because there is some mental activity taking place in their mind, they are thinking. But the truth is, most people are simply exercising the mental faculty called memory. They are playing old movies, so old pictures just keep flashing back on the screen of their mind. It is imperative that you begin this new way of thinking at this moment, because as you do, every fiber of your being will become filled with this new thought energy. Your body is comprised of millions upon millions of cells, and each one of them is influenced in its movement by thought impulses. So the second you begin entertaining relaxing thoughts, your body becomes relaxed. The instant you begin entertaining worrisome, fearful thoughts, your body becomes rigid and tense. As you begin to hold thoughts of prosperity and begin thinking of yourself as a very wealthy, prosperous individual who is surrounded by an ocean of thought energy swimming in a sea of plenty, your body and mind will instantly move into a prosperous vibration, and you will begin to attract, just like a magnet, everything necessary for you to become wealthy. I know to somebody that just clicked on this video that has never heard of these ideas, this might sound bizarre as anything a person could think of. Nevertheless, they are true, for mental awareness of prosperity always precedes wealth in your material world. It's not difficult. Therefore, for children today born into families of great wealth like Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett, to think these prosperous thoughts and to have this prosperity consciousness, since that is the only type of thinking they were subjected to right from birth. We say they have been conditioned in or to prosperity. However, the majority of people have not been born into that kind of environment, so they were not surrounded by that type of thinking. We must therefore develop an understanding of how we have been conditioned, why we are getting the results we are getting, and how we can change our way of thinking or our conditioning. That is not an easy thing to do. It takes much discipline. It takes a tremendous desire. It takes a lot of diligent effort, which is the probable reason so few people ever actually change. Yet I want you to know that regardless of how difficult it may be, it can be done, and it can be done in a relatively short period of time. The compensation you will receive for your effort will delight you. I know because I have done it, and I know many, many other people who have done it as well. Now it is necessary for you to do it. The very fact that you clicked on this video and started listening is all the proof you will ever need that you truly have the desire to change. Moreover, there is a way, a sure way, for you to receive your desired good. Below the level of your consciousness is the great treasury of your subconscious mind, and that is the part of your personality we want to begin to influence through our new thought patterns. In order to make the issue definite and concrete, consider the following statement. Any idea, plan, or purpose may be planted in the subconscious mind by repetition of thought empowered by faith and expectancy. You might be asking, can this statement be demonstrated to be true through experimentation and observation, or is there any known method or technique by which the proof may be secured? And if there is such a method or technique, is it available to everyone? These questions can all be answered with an emphatic yes. As you test and experiment with the ideas that will come to you, you will answer all the questions for yourself, and it's necessary that you answer them for yourself. Because as human beings, we will not truly believe something until we actually discover it for ourselves. You must begin to see money as an obedient, diligent servant that you can employ to earn money, and that you can use to provide services far beyond the service that you could ever physically provide. It is necessary that you feel comfortable when you talk about money, because you were born wealthy. You have all the mental tools necessary to attract the thoughts you are surrounded by, to create the consciousness that you must create in order for you to have the wealth you choose to have. Lack can only exist when you make room for it in your mind, but prosperity consciousness knows no lack. Resolve to completely remove the lid from your marvelous mind with respect to your own earning ability, and understand that the wealth you are seeking is and always has been seeking you in return. So open wide the doors of your conscious mind now and begin to receive it. Begin to immediately play a game with yourself. Get into the habit of visualizing yourself in the possession of great wealth. Think of some of the things you would do with that money and then mentally start doing them. Since your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between actually doing something and visualizing yourself doing it, this exercise will very quickly help you to develop a prosperity consciousness. Remember, it is an absolute law of your being that you must have something mentally before you will ever have it physically. Also understand that everyone talks to themselves mentally. In fact, some people even do it out loud. Therefore, whenever you're carrying on your private conversation with yourself, always talk about how good it feels to be wealthy. Congratulate yourself on becoming wealthy and hear others congratulating you as well. You should realize that although this might appear to be a game you're playing, you are doing one of the wisest things you can possibly do. You're working from a higher to a lower potential. You are embarking on a program of self-development. You're about to learn there is much more to yourself than meets the eye, and you must apprehend this hidden factor of your personality. If you're ever to develop yourself properly, in truth, you will never see the greatest part of your being because it is non-physical in nature. In fact, you will soon become aware that you are constantly living simultaneously on three distinct planes of being. You are spiritual, you have an intellect, and you live in a physical body. To understand this abstraction, you must keep in mind that you're living simultaneously on three distinct planes: the highest spiritual plane of thought, the middle intellectual plane of ideas, and the physical plane of results, the lowest potential. Therefore, by doing what I've suggested you do, you are merely using your divine nature to choose the thoughts, which is money is good, or I love people and I use money. Money is a servant and I am the master, which will build an idea. In your case, the idea happens to be the great personal wealth or true financial success. Be very aware that ideas such as the idea of financial success never form by themselves. The human personality must always enter into the process by thinking the thoughts which can then be used to build the idea. That is the very thing that makes the human being godlike, or you could say a creative creature, the highest form of creation. So by holding this beautiful idea or picture of financial success in your mind, you will ultimately be able to cause the idea to manifest in your life. You are working from thoughts to idea to thing, rather than working from thing to thoughts to idea. As you've probably done in the past, and as the vast majority of people will continue to do in the future. That is to say, most people will look at a result in their life and let that result dictate the thoughts they will then use to build their idea. For example, if they see their bank account is empty, they will choose to think thoughts of lack or loss, and they will lose themselves and use those thoughts to build the idea of poverty. However, since the idea they are holding in their mind must manifest in their future results, they are actually bringing about a repeat performance of the very thing which they say they don't want, namely an empty bank account. It thus becomes a self-doom fulfilling cycle they are living, and clearly this is not the way our Creator has intended for us to live. You might very well be saying to yourself, this is absurd, for if a bank account is empty, it's empty. It just isn't realistic to look at an empty bank account and be able to visualize great wealth. But I want you to know, this is the very kind of reasoning that perpetuates poverty and keeps poor people impoverished. You must begin to understand that the present state of your bank account, your sales, your health, your social life, your positions at work, whatever, is nothing more than the physical manifestation of your previous thinking. If you sincerely wish to change or improve your results in your physical world, you must change your thoughts, and you must change them immediately. If you take the time to really think through the information which I have discussed, you will conclude that what has been said makes perfect sense. In fact, anyone who truly understands the manifestation process will tell you what I have just said is not only right, but it is a natural law of your being. It is the way God works with and through the individual. This is also called prayer in some circles, a prayer being the movement that takes place between spirit and form with and through the individual. God has given you the ability to build any idea which you desire. You were born wealthy, and your abundance is contained in thought. So be good to yourself, choose magnificent ideas, and cease permitting your physical world to control your thinking. You can readily understand by now how everyone makes the great mistake. In Emerson's essay on self-reliance, he said, "Envy is ignorance." In other words, to look at another person's accomplishments or results and then to envy them is truly unwise. For those people first chose their thoughts in order to build the picture in their mind of the good that is now manifest in their life, and they chose those thoughts from the infinite source of supply, which is available to all of us, you as well. That is what the great artist Vincent van Gogh meant when he was asked how he did such beautiful work. He said, "I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream." In other words, he saw the picture in his mind first, then he made a replica on canvas in oil of the original in his mind. In truth, there has never been an original Van Gogh sold. Hopefully by now you understand the wisdom of some of the exercises I've been suggesting. So keep repeating, I am prosperous, I am wealthy, money is good, I am its master. See yourself in your mind's eye doing what you will do when you have the manifestation of your new attitude or consciousness. Visualize this great wealth and feel yourself already in possession of it. Remember, money is the servant. You are the master. You love people and you use money. Repeat to yourself every day, money is the servant and I am the master. And then say whatever else you need to say about money. You can say large sums of money come to me. You can say I am magnetic to money. You can say that my abundance is everlasting. Find something that really resonates with you. I repeat the same affirmations often because they are what work for me. They may not work for you, but the key is find something that works for you. Refrain from talking to a lot of people about this new idea concerning money until you have a firm grip on it yourself and feel confident about explaining what you have learned to others. Remember, hearing negative comments from people who do not understand the truth will not do you any good. If it does anything, it will only cause you to doubt yourself. You must not permit this to happen, because when you think about me and money, you want a beautiful picture to fly onto the screen. For you to get this prosperity concept into high gear, you must be specific. Exactly how much money do you want? Remember, you're working with your subconscious mind, and the subconscious does not think. It merely accepts images and then moves them into form. So for you to say, I want lots of money, isn't good enough, because no one, least of all the subconscious mind, knows how much lotsa is. For you to answer this question, it would probably be a good idea for you to decide what you want the money for. But to simply say, I want the money to live on, is not good enough. You should realize our society is structured in such a way that the government will keep you. In fact, in most places, they will even mail a check to you. You can sit at home and still receive a living wage. At this point, you're probably saying to yourself, oh yes, I know that, but I want to live better than that. Well, let's get specific. How much better do you want it to be? Bearing in mind that this kind of exercise is going to require some serious planning on your part. Get out a sheet of paper and draw up a list of all the things or activities that you plan to spend money on over the course of the next year. To assist you in getting started with your list, you might start with food or rent, mortgage or clothes, automobile, utilities, education, vacations, recreation, insurance, savings. These are just a few of the many possibilities, so keep working on your own list until it is complete. You don't necessarily have to put the amounts yet. You take each item on the list, visualize how you want to live, and then fill in the amount of money it will cost you to do so. You might go out to a nice restaurant to dine on very special occasions, but you might visualize yourself spending a very enjoyable evening out for dinner once a week where the service is excellent, the food is even better, and the environment is fit for royalty. How much would that cost? What's the figure you're looking for? You could be driving a car that's getting old and showing signs of rust, but you might visualize yourself driving a brand new car of your choice. How much would that cost? Remember, you do not have a contract to live forever, nor is this a practice run. This is your life. You should be enjoying it to the fullest. Therefore, you should have the amount of money you need. Understand that you have great resources of talent and ability locked up within you, just waiting to be expressed. Do not limit yourself. Do not say, well, I can't have those things. Just write it out. You must determine how much is enough. Once you've added everything together, you must determine how much is enough. By now, you should have completed your list and arrived at a figure, so take a pen and paper and write that number down in big, bold figures. Now luxuriate on that idea. Get used to it. Become it. See yourself living that idea comfortably, easily, effortlessly. Get used to that idea, knowing that You are the master and money is your servant. There's nothing for you to worry about. Just become aware of what it is that you need to do to have what you want, to do what you want. Now, I know there's a part of you that's holding on to this old idea of lack. Why do we do that? Why do we hold so strongly to old ideas? I have no doubt that you will agree that this is an intriguing question. If you were to ask 1,000 different people this same question, you'd probably obtain 1,000 different answers. But if you were to go directly to the primary cause of the problem, you would soon discover that although it lies deep within each individual, it is virtually the same for everyone. The answer to the question would be as follows. We hold on to old ideas and old things because we lack faith in our ability to obtain new ideas and new things. So the key is for you to have the faith and belief that you can obtain whatever level of prosperity that you need, that big bold figure that you've written down. It is available to you. You must embrace this idea that in order for you to have the prosperity that you want, you must see it first. You must become the master, and money must become your servant. This is just the very beginning of this process. You can find more teachings on this idea in my Prosperity Revolution playlist that carries all of my prosperity teachings. I have gone over some very deep and poignant ideas that are related to the ideas of prosperity consciousness, and I highly suggest that you explore these as much as possible. And the many authors that have explored these as well, like Napoleon Hill, Joseph Murphy. Wealth consciousness is an integral part of this process. You must come to terms with money on some level if you want to create your reality and even have some level of ascension spiritually. If you want to move to a higher level of consciousness, if you want to have purpose in your life, you must come to grips with money on some level. And that involves understanding that you are the master and money is the servant. It becomes your servant once you utilize the power of your mind and faith to determine your future financial prosperity. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and welcome to The Reality Revolution.